Hello, learners. Welcome to our session for today. I am Miss Arban, and together, let's learn science. In this video, we will be talking about the role of hormones involved in the female and male reproductive systems. So, this is based on the learner's pocket or leap of Pivot 4A. Before we start, let me share to you the content standard and performance standard of Science 10 Quarter 3. In content standard, the learners demonstrate an understanding of organisms as having feedback mechanisms which are coordinated by the nervous and endocrine systems. Okay, for the performance standard, the learners shall be able to create a brochure on diseases related to any of the three organ systems and their prevention. For our objectives, identify the different hormones related to female and male reproductive system, design an information campaign article about reproductive hormone disorders which discusses overview, signs and symptoms, causes and treatment, and cite the importance of the role of hormones involved in the female and male reproductive systems. The outline of the session for this day is: first, we have the introduction or Name It to Win It game. Then the second one is the presentation of female and male reproductive system. And then the roles of hormone in reproductive system. Then the last one is the discussion of the learning tasks, which are the written and performance tasks. Now let's proceed to the first part, which is Name It to Win It game. Okay, so this game is like a robust puzzle. So the mechanics is guess the word being portrayed in each item. So in the slides that will be showed later on, you will be encountering pictures and words, and all you have to do is to guess what is a hidden word with those pictures and words. Okay, so let's start. Now, what do you think is a hidden word with this set of pictures and words? So I will give you 10 seconds to analyze, and please type in your answer on the comment section. Okay, time's up. So this one is a test. Okay, plus is testis. Okay, so did you get it right? Okay, very good. Now, how about this one? So again, I will give you 10 seconds to analyze the set of pictures. Okay, time's up. So this is oval minus L is ova, and plus RY is ovary. Okay, so did you get it right? Very good. Now let's proceed to the reproductive system of male and female. Let's start with the female reproductive system. This is the picture of the female reproductive system. Now let's discuss its parts and functions. So the first one is the ovary. It produces egg cells. So these are the ovaries. So a female has two ovaries, and it is said to be as small as an almond. Okay. Next, we have the fimbriae, or a small finger-like projections at the end of the fallopian tube through which eggs move from ovaries to uterus. So this is a small finger-like projections. This is the fimbriae. Yeah, and it serves as the passageway from ovary Okay, papunta kay fallopian tube. Next one is the fallopian tube. It is also called as oviduct or uterine tube. It is the site of fertilization and it is a passageway of egg cell. Ayan, so here is the fallopian tube. Ayan. So this is the site of fertilization. This is where the egg cell waits for the sperm cell. And then it is also the passageway of the egg cell to the uterus. Next one, we have the uterus. This is the site for egg implantation and where fertilized egg develops. So this is our uterus or womb. Okay, this is where the fertilized egg is being implanted, and here is the place where it will be developed into an offspring. And then we have the cervix, lower portion of the uterus which connects it to vagina. So this is the cervix. This is the passageway from uterus to vagina. Okay, and then the last, we have vagina, which receives the penis of male during mating. So this is the vagina. So please familiarize yourselves with the parts and functions of the female reproductive system. Now let's proceed to the male reproductive system. Testis, it produces sperm cells. So testis is for singular and testes is for plural. So this is the testis. Like the female, the male have two testes or they have testes. Okay. Now the testis produces the sperm cell. Okay. Next, the scrotum. It is a sac of skin that holds the testis. Now, this is an external part of males which can be seen. Unlike this one, these are all internal organs. Okay? Then, penis deposits sperms into vagina during mating. So, this is the penis. This one. And then vas deferens carries sperm cell from testis to urethra. So this is the vas deferens, also called as ductus deferens. Ayan, this is the passageway of the sperm cell from testis to urethra. Next is the urethra, which carries urine and sperm out of the body. So they have the same passageway, the urine and the sperm cell, which is the urethra. And then we have glands here in the male reproductive system, which provide liquid in which sperm can swim. So remember that sperm cells, for them to live, they must have a convenient environment or acceptable environment. So the glands provide those environment for the sperm cells. So let's enumerate those glands. So the first one is the seminal vesicle, which secretes a fluid that makes up most of the semen. So this is the seminal vesicle, and it is below the urinary bladder. Ito yung urinary bladder. Nagko-collect siya ng urine. Okay, then the next one, prostate gland secretes a slightly alkaline fluid that is discharged as part of the semen that nourishes sperm cells. So this one is the prostate gland below the seminal vesicle. So it secretes alkaline fluid that nourishes the sperm cells. And then the last gland, we have the pulbourethral gland, which secretes a thick and clear mucus that lubricates and neutralizes any trace of acidic urine in the urethra. So the pulbourethral gland plays an important role here because without it, the sperm cells may die when they will pass through the urethra. Since urethra is also the passageway of the urine, which is acidic, Okay, pag dumaan dun ang sperm cells without the clear mucus na na-produce ni bulbourethral gland, okay, mamamatay sila sa acidity nun. So that is why the bulbourethral gland will first secrete that clear mucus fluid to lubricate and neutralize the urethra. Para pag dumaan ng sperm cells, hindi mamamatay yung sperm cells. Kasi na-neutralize na yung dadaanan nila, which is the urethra. Now let's proceed to the role of sex hormones in male and female. Now we are done familiarizing ourselves with the parts of the reproductive system. Now let's proceed to the role of sex hormones. Now let's start with the role of male sex hormones. The production of sperm cells, or also known as spermatogenesis, and the release of semen can be regulated by hormones or special chemicals that come from the testes, the brain, and the pituitary gland. So these hormones start to be active when a male reaches the puberty age. Okay, so it starts with the hypothalamus and pituitary gland, which are both in the brain. Okay, the hypothalamus will release GnRH, or gonadotropin releasing hormone, that will send the message to the pituitary gland for the pituitary gland to produce FSH, or follicle stimulating hormone, and LH, or luteinizing hormone. Both of them, the FSH and LH, will go to the testes. Ayan. And then when the FSH reaches the testes, it will go to the Sertoli cells to stimulate the production of sperm cell. On the other hand, the luteinizing hormone will go to the Leydig cells inside the testes to produce testosterone. The presence of testosterone will also stimulate the Sertoli cells to produce sperm cells. Now we have the negative feedback here. As you can see here, we have a negative sign. Then we have here the positive feedback. We have the positive sign. When we say positive feedback, it allows the production of a particular substance. Okay, and then when we say negative feedback, it inhibits or prevents the production of a certain substance. So in this part, the presence of testosterone inhibits the production of GnRH, FSH, and LH, meaning the amount of testosterone will send a negative feedback to the hypothalamus and pituitary gland to slow down the production of GnRH, FSH, and LH, as well as the number or amount of sperm cells. If the sperm count reaches 2 million per milliliter, the Sertoli cells cease the release of inhibin and the sperm count increases. So remember, it depends upon the amount of the sperm cells and the testosterone, which will send the negative feedback to the hypothalamus and pituitary gland. In addition, the testosterone is responsible for the secondary sexual characteristics of male that develops in males during adolescence, like deepening of voice, growth of facial, axillary, and pubic hair, and the beginnings of sex drive. Now let's proceed to the role of female sex hormones. The female reproductive system is also regulated by hormones. The follicles produce hormones that control the growth and release of eggs from the ovaries. While other hormones prepare the uterus so a baby can grow in it, other hormones still control the stretching of the uterus during pregnancy. So as you can see here on the picture, it is somewhat the same with the males. Okay, this will start on the hypothalamus and pituitary gland in the brain. So again, the hypothalamus will produce GnRH or gonadotropin releasing hormone that will send a signal or message to the pituitary gland so that the pituitary gland will release FSH and LH. So as you can see, we have one and then we have two. So this means that FSH and LH production is not produced simultaneously. So the first hormone being produced is the FSH, and it will go to the follicle inside the ovary. And then it will produce estrogen. Now, estrogen is a reproductive hormone in females that assists in endometrial growth, ovulation, and calcium absorption. This is also responsible for the secondary sexual characteristics of female, such as development of breasts, flaring of hips, and a shorter period necessary for bone maturation. Okay? And then on the other hand, it is the LH or luteinizing hormone that will go to the ovaries and it will help to the ovulation process. So ovulation is the process of releasing egg cell from the ovary. So tumutulong si luteinizing hormone or si luteinizing hormone ang responsible for the egg cell to be released outside the ovary. And then after the ovulation, it is also the luteinizing hormone responsible for the corpus luteum or the ruptured follicle to produce the progesterone. Okay, so this hormone is responsible also for the regrowth of the lining of the uterus or the endometrium. So we will be discussing this on detail in the next lesson. Okay, now we will notice also the negative sign and the positive sign. Again, positive sign is for the positive feedback and the negative sign is for the negative feedback. Remember, the presence of a substance influences the presence of other substance. The presence of the estrogen hormone will send a negative feedback to the hypothalamus and pituitary gland to slow down the production of FSH. Same with the progesterone. The level of progesterone will send a negative feedback to the hypothalamus and pituitary gland to slow down the production of LH or luteinizing hormone. The presence of progesterone also inhibits or prevents the production of FSH. Okay, so we have here the last part, which is the discussion of the learning tasks. So the first learning task is a fact or a myth or true or false. So you will read the statements and then you will write fact if it is correct and myth if it is not true. Okay, and then letter B is matching type. All you have to do is to match the parts of the reproductive system to its appropriate function. Learning task 2 is a concept map. You will write the necessary word or words to complete the concept map here about the role of hormone on male and female reproductive system. Okay, so you will be writing here the hormones involved. Then the last task, learning task 3, is you will create an information campaign article about reproductive hormone disorders. It should include the overview, signs and symptoms, causes, and treatment. We have here a guide in writing your article. So please read this. Ayan, and have the criteria here as your reference in writing also. So these criteria will be used to evaluate your work. Before I end, Let me share to you a quote. Balance is not something you find, it is something you create. Based from Jana Kingsford. Okay, thank you for listening. If you have questions, please send an email with this. Okay, and then you may also reach me out to other social media platforms. Okay, thank you and see you on our next lesson.